Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another edition of Movie Masters. I am your host, Movie Master Mike, and I am back, and just as mediocre as ever, my review of 2014's Hercules. Not Legend of Hercules, that really shitty one that came out in January of 2014, but then the lesser of the shittier Hercules that came out last year with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And this movie, I just watched it for the first time, and it wasn't so bad. I mean, The Rock's cool, Ian McShane is cool, Joseph Fiennes is cool. What's his face? Rufus Sewell is cool. Everyone else in the movie was just kind of there. I've always said, like, in medieval, like, fantasy, not fantasy, but like medieval, like, historical type movies, like, they're set in, like, Greece. You know, well, this one's set in Greece, but like the Scorpion King with The Rock, it was set in like Egypt and like Mesopotamia and stuff, and like they had a bunch of white dudes with mullets. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. So in this one, there was one white dude who, like, he didn't talk, and But this is one of those like medieval movies, fantasy movies that it's like a group of warriors. One's the archer, one's the silent guy, one's the wisecracker, one's good with knives. And that was pretty much this movie. It had like each different character, and I expected it to be really bad, and it wasn't that bad. The story was okay. I liked the fact that, like, they're mercenaries. There's this legend of Hercules that, like, his nephew tells everybody, and it builds the legend that, like, you know, he killed this giant lion when, you know, barehanded, when he probably didn't. He probably killed a lion, but it was probably all five, you know, him and his friends. And Ian McShane's character was like a seer, like he could see like death, so like he wasn't afraid of battle because he knew he wasn't going to die in that battle and stuff. And but it was weird because, like, they were playing down the whole like God element, like God's element. Like, he's not really the son of Zeus; he's just really strong. You know, because he didn't really kill that giant lion and things like that. That was just legend, and it's cool because, like, this group of mercenaries build up that legend so people can be afraid of Hercules, so they either won't fight or they're, you know, too afraid to actually give a good fight. And so I like that aspect. And I remember, like, when the first preview came out, like, it was Ian McShane, like, asking, like, you know, who are you? And who are you? And, like, he's in chains. And he's like, I am Hercules. And that was in the movie. You know, it was right towards the end. It was pretty cool. And but I like the fact that, like, you know, they're mercenaries, so they get hired by this dude who's played by John Hurt, you know, another good actor, really good actor. And he's saying, like, there's this warlord coming, and they need to go save this village. And Hercules is like, no, like, we should stay here, train your men, wait for him to come to us. And he's like, no, we need to save this village. How many more villages have to die before, or burn down and stuff before we stop this warlord? So they go. It was kind of a trap. Like, they go to this village and it looks like everybody's dead except for like half the people. Like, half the people were like rotted, the other half weren't. And it turns out they're pretending to be dead. And they jump up and they get the trap. So they fight it off. They win the battle. And then they train some more, and then they go meet. It's supposed to be like centaurs. Like, we see them, like, you know, this one dude like up on the hill, and it looks like a centaur. It looks like his body's, you know, but all we see is like silhouettes and stuff. And then later, like, they go to meet them on this field, and it looks like there's a bunch of centaurs everywhere. And then, like, the camera angle, like, turns a little bit, and it's just, oh, the silhouette of the horse head was just behind the human body. And so I liked how they played up that fantasy element, but then, like, shot it down. You know, in the beginning is when you see, like, from the previews of him, like, jumping at that giant lion and the giant boar, and that was somebody telling a story about Hercules. That's not really what happened. And again, this is like, you know, there's telling you this, you know, there are centaurs, but then really they're not. And so that was kind of a cool aspect, that it wasn't like full on fantasy. And but then after the warlord is defeated, you find out that he's a good guy, that John Hurt is the bad guy, and that The Rock has been fighting, Hercules has been fighting for the wrong side, and that the John Hurt's daughter is only going along with everything to save her son, because John Hurt said, like, if you fuck anything up and go against me in any way, I'll kill your son. But Rock's like, fuck that, and so he starts going against John Hurt, and that's when he gets put in jail. That's when he breaks free from the chains and says, I am Hercules. Then they win the day and everything. And I didn't really like the narration at the beginning and the end. Like, in the beginning it made sense because they were like telling the story of Hercules and all these magical things that he's done, and when really he didn't. But at the end, Ian McShane was like, is Hercules the son of God? I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, but what the hell do I know? I'm supposed to be dead. Because, like, he had a vision or whatever that he was going to die by a flaming spear to the heart. And as they're breaking out of prison, this dude throws a spear and it goes through some fire. And he's like, oh, my time. And he, like, opens it, or welcomes it with open arms. But then the Rock grabs it and throws it back at the dude. And he's like, excuse me, that was my moment. That was my destiny. Which I thought was pretty funny. He's like, just like, excuse me. But, overall, it wasn't that bad. The music, I didn't really pay too much attention to, but I love these, like, medieval, like, fantasy-type movies. Sword and Sandal, Sword and Sorcery, whatever you want to call them. I really like them. I love fantasy. Braveheart and Willow, some of my favorite movies ever. And this one's, it's not up there with those two movies, but it wasn't that bad. I'll probably watch it again at some point when I'm in, like, a fantasy, phase, or I'm watching nothing but fantasy movies. I'll pop it in. I like The Rock, and like I said, the cast is actually really good. Ian McShane, if you know him from Deadwood, he's a badass in that. And then played Blackbeard in Pirates 4. So it's good seeing him, in something else. Would I recommend this movie? It is a Brett Ratner film, and most people fucking hate Brett Ratner because of X-Men 3. But, he's just an efficient director. He makes a movie on time, on budget. So, I would recommend this movie. It's really not that bad. I just talked to somebody the other day about it, and I said something about Hercules. Like, the shitty one? I was like, well, not the one with the dude from Twilight. The one with The Rock. He's like, oh yeah, that movie was shitty. I was like, well, I've never seen it. And but it wasn't shitty. It wasn't that bad. I liked it. So, I don't know what else to say about it. It's not that bad. Give it a shot if you like fantasy movies, or the Sword and Sandal type movies. I think it's pretty good. Kind of cliche, like I said. The character is the silent one who doesn't talk. The girl's good at the bow. She's like Legolas in Lord of the Rings. She can shoot him out, stab people, and keep shooting, and things like that. But it had kind of like cheesy. Let's train them these people how to fight by going like just. But so there was a lot of cheesy elements and cliche things in it, but overall it wasn't that bad. I thought the end. Like, I liked the locations of everywhere and everything, but at the end, like, all of a sudden, like, the city they were in just became, like, this cavernous thing of just rock and rubble and lava. Like, it was just kind of weird. I like what, like, they showed some flashes of Athens. That was really gorgeous. It looked like everything was, like, made out of, like, white marble. It was just really awesome in comparison to this other place that they're at, Thrace, and everything's just, like, stone. Instead of, like, just like brown stone or whatever. And so, like, seeing the two differences was pretty cool. And, like, they give, like, a little background story to Hercules and why he left Athens. It's because, like, his family died, and he thinks it might have been him that killed his family because he can't remember. He remembers being there and they're all dead. So the king or lord or whatever of Athens, like, exiled him and, like, diminished his name for killing his own family. And so that was alright. But, give it a shot. I don't know. Maybe I'm just buy it because I really like these types of movies, and I love The Rock. So, maybe I'm just really biased. I'm just saying watch it because I like The Rock. But, I don't know. Anyway, that was my review of 2014 Brett Ratner's Hercules. I'm your host, Movie Master Mike, reminding you to speak your geek and balance your geek with Geek Equilibrium.